All right, we're on record. Good evening and welcome to the meeting of the Township of Parsippany-Troy Hills Board of Adjustment. It is Wednesday, July 8th, 2026, and it is 7:30 p.m. Announcement is made that adequate notice of this meeting has been given and that it is being conducted in accordance with NJSA 10:4-6 at SEC of the New Jersey Open Public Meetings Act. Roll call. Mr. Jaskowitz?
Here.
Mr. Massarella?
Here.
Mr. Modi?
Present.
Ms. Neglia?
Here.
Mr. Projopti?
Yes, here.
Mr. Reddy?
Present.
Chairwoman Grignani?
Present.
We have our board planner, Mr. Chadwick.
Present.
Our board engineer, Mr. Lemanowitz.
Here.
And our board attorney, Mr. Johnson.
Here.
Please stand, join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Before we proceed with our agenda this evening, an integral part of this board member, Bernie Berkowitz, passed away. Bernie was not only a personal friend, but he was instrumental in his involvement in this township. Bernie was also the township attorney many years ago. He will be sorely missed from this board. He was a dedicated father, a beloved husband, grandfather, and I will miss him personally. Thank you.
We will move on to correspondence. A correspondence received from Prina Trevetti requesting application 2466 13 North Beverwick Road be carried to October 7th, 2026 without further notice and with extensions granted through October 30th, 2026. Can I have a motion?
Motion. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Correspondence received from Rick Volomar requesting application 2545 118 Bridgeton Drive be carried to September 16, 2026 without further notice and grants extensions through September 30th, 2026.
Motion. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, we'll move on to resolutions. Everyone can vote on all the resolutions. We have application 2614, block 262, lot 1. Application 2611, block 242, lot 6. Application 2621, block 716, lot 2. Application 2617, block 98, lot 59.2. Application 2556, block 626, lot 10.05, and application 2625, block 729, lot 6.02. Can I have a motion?
Motion. Second.
Jaskowitz?
Yes.
Mazzarella?
Yes.
Modi?
Yes.
Neglia?
Yes.
Projopati?
Yes.
Reddy?
Yes.
Grignani?
Yes.
All right. Everything's approved.
Application 26:13, Yanni, 19 Madison Avenue, block 605, lot 9, zone R4. A C variance to construct a new single-family dwelling with attached garage, roofed front porch, shed, deck, patio, and other site improvements contrary to section 430-35, columns 3 and 10, section 430-275X. Applicant is returning for discussion regarding the proposed walk upstairs. Good evening, sir.
You raise your right hand, please. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony that you're about to give should be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Before you start, the board may recall that you heard this application and granted this application already. One of the conditions that the board imposed was that instead of the walk-up stairs that the applicant had proposed on the plans, you had a condition imposed that the applicant needed to revise his plans to pull-down staircase to access the attic, rather than a walk-up staircase to access the attic. Mr. Janney is here because he made an application for the board to potentially reconsider that condition. You permitted him to come back here to, for you to hear from Mr. Janney as to why you might or might not want to reconsider that condition. So that's why Mr. Janney is here. So why don't you tell the board why it's so important to you not to have a pull-down staircase to access your attic, but instead have a walk-up staircase to access your attic.
Good evening, Chairman, members of the board. My name is Rakesh Jani, the homeowner of at 19 Madison Avenue. Thank you.
Can you I'm sorry, can you pull the microphone a little closer? I apologize. Thank you.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak. I'm here today to one very specific reason, to request reconsideration of the condition requiring pull-down attic stairs and clarify that my attic is unfinished and intended solely for storage, not for living space. I want to respectfully explain why the put-down stairs are a safety, I would say, serious safety issue for me. I'm unable to use put-down attic stairs safely. In past, I have fallen twice while using this type of stairs. I have also seen others slip or miss steps. Because of my body size with weight of 264 pounds and mobility limitations, pull-down stairs poses a real risk of injury to my health. This is not a preference, this is genuinely a safety concern. By contrast, the permanent walk-up stairs are stable and wide, with a 3-foot high railing that lets me hold on to it, balance, and even sit on the step if I feel uncomfortable. This is the only safe way for me to access my attic storage. I want to be very clear here. I'm not asking for walk-up attic stairs to create living space. I'm asking because it is only safe way for me to access my storage. At the previous hearing, the board expressed concern that walk-up attic stairs could imply future living space on the 3rd floor. I understand that concern completely. However, in every single set of architectural drawings I have submitted, the attic clearly labeled as unfinished attic, storage only, permanent stairs for storage access only. I have never stated, requested, or implied that I intend to use this attic as a living space. The person who answered on my behalf last time was my builder. He is not the homeowner and cannot speak on my intention. I was not prepared for that question because this issue was not listed as the variance in the zoning review letter I received. So I want to correct that record. The attic will remain unfinished storage only. Thank you.
Any questions from the board of this information that has been given to us this evening?
I guess my question was, it was discussed as it being spiral staircase?
Yes.
Or it's not?
In
Is
the
there a?
drawing, it says
Okay.
spiral, right?
Yeah, well, no,
Could you-
that was my impression, was it was spiral. That
Could you-
was why we
could
didn't
you
understand the
explain-
difference.
Could you explain what the staircase will look like the best you can to us? Because we did understand it to be a spiral staircase.
It's a C-shaped staircase. You have stairs.
You have a drawing? Do you have a drawing?
It's on,
Yeah, you
it's
have
on
it in
the,
your,
it's in the
you have it in your
plans.
packet.
It looked like a spiral, that's what.
Yeah.
Oh, you don't have the, do you not have the drawings
From
from
the
last time?
previous, I think, from the previous.
And if I remember correctly, I think because the builder was unclear, or even indicated that it could be used for space, it gave us concern. So we do, I appreciate you coming forth and saying it will definitely not be.
So let me ask some questions about the configuration, because I actually have your plans. I know the other members of the board don't. So you have living space on the 2nd floor, correct? And then, so there's a landing of a staircase that comes from the first floor to the second floor, correct? And then there's a set of stairs, and then a landing, and then another set of stairs to the attic, correct? Okay. So it's not a spiral in the sense that it's going around a center pole.
Even spiral would not hit me if I have a shortness of breathing.
Is there any proposal to put electricity up, like plugs up there? No electricity,
I
right?
mean,
Maybe a light from the ceiling?
just for the light for the film.
Okay.
One light.
And there's one light from the ceiling?
Yeah.
Okay, that's all you want?
That's all.
Okay. No electrical outlets?
No sheet rack?
The only reason why I need electrical outlet, for some reason, if there is a leakage in the
No
attic,
sheet rack.
or if something repairs needs to be done,
Okay,
I
so
do
the,
not have to pull wires
Semi-
from downstairs.
okay, and the walls won't be finished, correct?
No.
Unfinished walls,
I fix it.
unfinished floor,
Unfinished.
unfinished ceiling.
Unfinished.
And you do not have any condenser or anything in there, right?
No,
Maybe air condition unit, something will be there, right?
Would you be housing air conditioning,
Air handler.
your handler?
HVAC system.
Okay,
yeah.
all right, okay.
Well, I think the question before the board is whether you want to eliminate that condition from your previous approval. And then I can draft the resolution accordingly to add the conditions that we just discussed.
Yeah.
If that's what the board wants to do.
Is everyone in agreement?
Yeah, yeah. I was just-
Members?
yeah.
the clarification, I'm good.
Okay.
So you need a motion
A motion to
to remove
remove
the previous
the
condition.
previous
of the-
condition of the stair being pulled down.
Correct.
Second then.
I apologize, can you
Second.
second? Okay.
All in favor?
No, you do a roll.
No.
Roll call? Okay.
Okay. Jaskowitz?
Yes.
Mazzarella?
Yes.
Modie?
Yes.
Neglia?
Yes.
Projectity?
Yes.
Ready?
Yes.
Grignani?
Yes. Mr. Johnny, thank you for coming back and explaining to us what you were hoping to do in your home.
I would like to mention and say that I'm also upset and disappointed about hearing the loss of Mr. Bernie Berkowitz, who is the closing attorney for this vending machine.
Oh,
that we
wow.
bought.
Oh, no.
He was like a father for me.
Bernie was, in the Jewish language, he was a mensch. He was a mensch.
So,
He was.
I mean, I was really stunned just hearing that news on the
Yeah,
very first day.
yeah.
Thank you. Thanks for letting us know.
Thank you.
Yeah, I put out an email.
Application 26:12, Sabiyan. Correct me, please, I'm sorry for the pronunciation. 10 Califon Road, Block 369, Lot 23, Zone R4. C variance to construct a two-story rear addition, second-story addition over existing first story and landing and stairs. Replace/relocate, contrary to section 430-35, columns 8, 10, 13, and section 430 I-01, carried from June 3rd, 2026.
Can you raise your right hand, please? Do you swear or affirm that the testimony that you're about to give should be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? You can sit down. State your name and spell your last name, please.
Hi, good evening, everybody. My name is Venkatraman Subbarayan, with my last name spelled S-E-B-B-A-R-A.
Okay, if I recall correctly, you were here a few weeks ago, and the issue was that the board didn't have a full set of the plans. It appears that the board now has a full set of the plans, so if you could explain to the board what it is that you want to do.
Sure. My plot is like a 4500 and it's a split level building.
Could you please speak a little closer to the microphone? Thank you, sir.
My home right now is a split level home with 2 bedrooms and 1 attic bedroom with
Yeah, I'm wondering.
I don't know if
Hold
it's
on
on.
a
One
second,
second, please.
Take the microphone.
I don't think it's on.
Oh, don't say the thing.
Sorry about that.
So right now, the current home is a split home with 2 bedrooms and 1 attic bedroom, wherein I cannot walk with my heads up because it's a slanting roof. With my family growing, I would like to extend my home in the backyard by 7 feet, and then also make my attic bedroom into a full-fledged room, making it 2 bedrooms. So that is what I am here for.
Do you have any questions from the board?
Well, did you read the engineering report?
Yeah, we have it.
Do you have a copy of the May 4th, 2026 letter from the municipal engineer?
No, I did not bring it now. The one I was stated was
Did you receive that letter?
Yeah, I did. Before June 3rd meeting, I did receive a mail wherein I was stated there was no storm rainwater plan, which I gave, and it is attached here again.
And then there's a May 28th, 2026 letter from,
One of the letter I never received, and I called in, and then I figured out that I had a meeting, so that's how I started. And one mail never came in for me. It was stuck with USPS for a long time. So I received only one mail from the city of Parsippany.
is part of the package is a stormwater drainage plan and engineering specification.
Right.
You prepared, is that right?
Yes.
And,
He's an engineer.
there is a,
Oh.
where did you get that information from to prepare that? Do you have any particular expertise in doing that?
No, absolutely I don't have any civil engineering knowledge, so that since I'm a IT engineer, I always try to look into solution. I prepared a first set of solution and then went to the engineering department, wherein I explained him. I forgot the name of the engineer, Paul, his name. So, and after that, he made some suggestions, and then I came and it was like, at least like 3 trips I made it, because I was told that it was gonna cost me $1,300. I said, okay, let me do it myself, why not, save it? So that's how I started, and eventually I made it through, and then Paul said that's good enough for my house plot size.
Did he give us any information that he approved that, or?
Well,
Doesn't
there's,
this letter say it?
so the May 28th, 2026 letter says the applicant, with assistance
Yeah.
from our office, designed the dry well to provide the required stormwater management.
Right.
I can only assume that he's
That's a
referring
sign-off.
Yes.
to the document that was prepared by the applicant.
Okay.
I think that's a reasonable assumption.
Makes sense.
Okay.
And in addition, the letter references, the May 28th, 2026 memo,
Right.
references that it's going to be inspected
By the town.
during construction
Yes.
by the engineering department.
Yes. During the construction phase, they are gonna come and check it out if we are doing it according to the specifications that we have made in the plan
I
document.
do have one question about one of your variances, and that is the landing and stairs. Is there a reason you're asking for a variance, for the side yard accessory landing and stairs? You understand that? And then on your plans, it says relocate existing wood stairs. Can you explain what's happening with the
No,
stairs?
what is happening right now is I have a side deck which allows me to get out of my kitchen to the backyard. So when we are gonna extend our home in the backyard by 7 feet, that particular side deck needs to be extended. So that particular stairway needs to be relocated. That's what we meant. Not any of the doors in the building. It will be remaining the same. We are not gonna change it.
So now there's gonna be a landing in the side yard?
No, it'll be the same way after 7 feet. So, because since the building is gonna be extended by 7 feet, it needs to come behind.
Still don't quite understand.
So you're gonna extend the deck 7 feet as well, and then
Yes.
put the landing?
Yes.
Yes,
But if you look at the drawing, it lands on the side.
right, right.
I think we'll talk about apples and pears.
Okay.
You show a wood deck facing California Road.
That is the front deck. Front deck, I'm not making any changes. It's on the side deck that we are talking about.
That's the front.
Yeah, but there's
I'm
this
talking
one
about
too.
this,
Yeah.
right here. I'm
Now,
talking about
the one that's going to be on the back corner
Mhm.
of your house,
Yeah,
when you come out of the new addition,
it is right
how do you
now.
access those stairs?
Yeah, it is right now in, the door is, from the kitchen. It leads me to the side, deck. It is gonna be the same. I'm not gonna change the position of my existing door. So it will be the same, and since I'm extending it, we are extending the deck also by 7
Okay.
feet.
So you come out the side of the house,
Mhm.
onto that deck, and then go down the stairs in the
Correct.
back. And that's the same way it exists today.
Correct.
That's what I was trying to get at, is why you're doing it that way, and that's because it's the same way it is today.
Yes.
Sounds good.
And the total number of bedrooms in this home will now be 4.
Correct.
And your plan shows existing and proposed basement plan, and it shows, I'm not sure what it's showing, going into an unlabeled space. I'm looking at sheet A101.
It is in the floor plan, proposed basement floor plan.
Yes,
You will see it as storage. The reason I was told, because initially my thought was, when I worked with my architect, we thought we'll make it a full-fledged living room along with a washer and dryer in the corner. But what she told was the wall is a load-bearing wall. We cannot make any changes to that. So we made it as a storage, because when we are extending 7 feet behind, I cannot remove the wall. So we made it as a storage or work office, something like that, with a sliding door in the backyard.
so if the board approves this, we will label it storage as a condition?
Storage, or I can make it as a gym, or I can make it as my working office. It'll be fully, it'll have heat, everything.
It won't be a bedroom.
It won't be a bedroom, it can't be.
Okay.
Any questions from the board on this testimony given by this applicant?
What is it? Oh, that's the work manual. Are you saying this is an open area?
Yeah.
Because that's where you're talking about storage.
His
Right.
is bearing wall, he doesn't want to pull it out.
Right.
So he agrees that it is not going to be, living space.
I can use it as my workspace for my work, so, but not a bedroom. I cannot be there. It's a very small room.
So no bedrooms in the basement,
Correct.
is that?
Okay. All right, that solves it.
Is it a walkout?
Yes, it's a walkout. Right now, it's a walkout too. It has a door. I can walk out in my backyard. So instead, I will be having a sliding door.
That's existing.
Yeah.
It's existing.
Full bath.
The full bath is there now, right?
Yeah, it is there already.
You're not adding a full bath, it's
No,
there
it is
now.
already there.
You're just adding that,
The backyard.
well, you have to add the foundation in order to do the addition.
This is where
Correct.
it walks out now.
Yeah.
So we're going to make a foundation in the backyard, around the perimeter, and then build it.
Walkout is where, behind the storage room?
Yeah, from the storage room, I have a sliding door there, so that is going to be the walkout.
So this is all gonna be.
There's a walkout now from your existing mudroom.
Correct. It is
You're
a
just
door.
going Another
Yeah,
7 feet out to accommodate the addition,
correct.
and
Make sure
you can't take down that interior wall, because you said it's load bearing.
Mhm.
So now you'll have sliders instead of an actual door.
Correct.
Yeah, no kitchen or nothing, so.
No kitchen in the basement?
No.
I got no other questions.
Gentlemen, do you have any other questions?
No.
Members of the board, do you have any questions of this applicant, the testimony that he's given?
Nope.
Is there anyone in the audience that has any questions of the applicant and his testimony at this time? Anyone in favor of this applicant and his testimony? Anyone not in favor of this applicant and his testimony? I see none. Would one of our members like to recommend approval, please?
Madam Chair, if I could just suggest
Yes,
something?
please.
The survey shows that the existing driveway is going to remain and that it extends more than a foot onto the neighboring property. So I would suggest a statement in the resolution that if the board chooses to approve this, that is not an act that will legitimize that encroachment, just to protect, so that we don't wind up with an issue later where, well, the board approved my plan and my driveway's on your property, so it can stay there.
Good catch.
That shouldn't be implied.
We've done that before. You've added language to resolutions before.
Great.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Would a board member like to recommend approval, please?
Sure, I think it's a very reasonable application. I think you worked with the engineer, which was one of our big concerns. You agreed to work with him and get it inspected and whatnot. So adding space for a family that's getting larger is a good reason for me to approve it, and I'll be voting yes.
Thank you.
Would one of our members like to frame the resolution, please?
Application 26:12, Venkataramani Subbarayan,
Yeah, that's me.
10 Califan Road, Block 369, Lot 23, Zone R-4, to grant or issue C variance to construct a two-story rear addition, second-story addition over existing first-story and landing and stairs, contrary to section 430-35, column 8, 10, 13, and section 430-10I, with all the discussions stipulated and in compliance with the regulations, engineering department.
And with no bedroom or kitchen in the basement, correct?
Yes.
Second, Jaskowitz.
Jaskowitz.
Yes.
Mazzarella.
Yes.
Modi.
Yes.
Neglia.
Yes.
Scarpelli.
Yes.
Ready.
Yes.
Grignani.
Yes. Application's approved. You'll be receiving your notice in the mail, and at that time, you could proceed with your permits.
Sure. Thank you,
Good luck.
everybody. Thanks, everybody.
Application 26:09, Mr. Leon, 50 James Street, Block 147, Lot 3, Zone R3. A C variance to construct two-story additions, patio, and landing with stairs, contrary to section 430-35, column 4. This application was carried from June 3rd, 2026. Good evening, Mr. Leon.
Raise your right hand, please. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony that you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Okay, have a seat. State your name and spell your last name, please, in the microphone.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Lai Dong, last name D-U-O-N-G.
Great. And you have someone with you here tonight?
Yes.
You raise your right hand, please. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony that you're about to give should be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
State your name, spell your last name.
My name is Jonathan Babula, B-A-B-U-L-A. I'm a registered architect.
And you've testified before this board before, correct?
I have,
And
yes.
you've been qualified as an expert in architecture before, correct?
Correct.
The license is in good standing?
Yes.
He's qualified. Do you want to just walk the board through the plan?
Sure, yeah, I think so. Can you still hear me?
Well, take the microphone.
Okay.
Or there's another, sometimes there's another one, right?
No.
No, there's one right there, yep.
Okay, so, this property is located in the R3 zone. It is a corner lot on 50 James Street and Fairview Place. We are seeking a variance for the front yard. Because this is a corner lot, we have two front yards. The requirement for the front yard setback is 40 feet. The existing off of James Street is 45.2, which that will stay the same and remain. We are doing a one-car addition to the left side of the house, which is facing Fairview Place here. And since that is a front, which requires the 40-foot setback, with this addition, we are going over that front about 7 feet. And the setback on this front here will be 33.2 instead of the 40. We are also doing an addition out the rear. We still meet the rear yard setback of 20 feet is required, and we are at 20.3. The lot is a little bit undersized in square footage, where 15,000 square feet is required. We are at 12,500. That is existing and will remain. The coverages, we all comply with the coverages here. We are under the impervious coverage and under the building coverage with the additions. And we did work with the town engineer. There was a earlier version of a bigger addition, but we reduced the size of the addition to get under the 500 square foot threshold, so we do not require any stormwater management for this project. And, you know, I feel like because the other houses, most of the houses on both streets, Fairview and James Street, they all have 2-car garages. This existing house right now only has a 1-car garage. So with this addition of adding the second car bay here, it kind of conforms more with the rest of the neighborhood with 2-car garages.
I think the issue at the time of us asking to get more information was the stormwater, right?
Yeah. It was one of the,
It was one of the main
and you
issues.
didn't have the drawings.
And we didn't have drawings. Okay, so this satisfies both of those concerns.
Yes.
Correct.
Okay.
So there's a note on the zoning officer's memo about the shed in the front yard. Do you know where that shed is?
Yeah, that shed is located on the Fairview, in the corner of Fairview in the rear yard here. That's existing, obviously
It
non-conforming
appears
as
to
well.
be within the front yard setback area.
Yes,
Would you agree with that?
yes, yes it is.
Do you know who prepared the notices for tonight's hearing?
I do not,
Do you
no.
know if the notices indicated a catch-all phrase about any other,
Oh, yeah,
did it?
yes, I created it, and yes,
So it did indicate that there could be other variances
Yep,
that come
it
up
did.
during the course of the hearing,
That's
correct?
correct.
Okay.
But why don't we ask, what is the condition of that shed?
The shed is in decent shape, this existing shed. Yeah, it's in good shape.
Is there any landscaping around it?
Just
Trees
grass.
in the area?
Yeah, it's just the yard, grass right now.
Okay. There's a fence that runs along this property line?
I think there is one that runs on the rear property line here.
What's the shed, what's it on? Do you know what it's on?
I do not know. Is the shed on a concrete pad?
On the concrete, with the single and the silent, but they're sitting on the concrete.
Mm-hmm.
The shed sits on a concrete
Yes.
slab?
That's it.
Is it good shape?
Yeah, very good shape.
How long has it been there? Is it,
Oh, I've been there over 10 years.
So here the ask is from 1-car garage to 2-car garage. Is that the only ask?
Yes, yes, for the front yard setback on Fairview Place.
On the rear yard also?
You mentioned something about
Rear
like
yard?
there might be additional.
The rear yard,
yard.
the rear yard, we comply with the rear yard setback.
The problem is that the shed, that the application didn't ask to legalize the existing shed. But the
Okay,
existing shed is within the front yard setback. If you looked at Ms. Smith's memo, she points out that the shed is within that setback. So that needs a variance. The question
Yes.
is, do you want to address that, or do you want to make Mr. Duong make a separate application to legalize that shed? It's up to the board as to what you want to do.
Let's just address these,
I-
in that 5
yeah, I
months already.
think,
No, the catch-all
We address
covers
it
it.
now.
You can, you have the authority, you have the right to address that issue
Let's
tonight.
address it, he's
So
been
they-
back plenty of times.
Yes.
Yeah, you're well within your right to address that issue tonight.
Okay.
yeah, so,
Well, let's ask a question. Did you build that shed? It was there when you bought the house?
When we bought it, it's already there.
Okay.
Okay.
To the grandfather.
Grandfather.
We have, is that your complete testimony?
yes, unless you want me to go through the architectural plans themselves, I think
No.
they're kind of self-explanatory, but,
I don't think that's it.
yeah.
Do you have any questions of the board for this applicant?
No.
This engineer, architect
Are
and
you
this,
requesting for the shed also?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
I believe they're requesting to add the variance for the shed.
yes.
Yeah, it's been there 10 years.
Yeah.
It's been there 10 years, it has been no.
More than
Yeah, exactly.
More than 10 years.
More than
Yeah.
10 years for sure.
So
Over
technically,
15 years.
so you're amending your application to add an additional variance for the shed, correct? Yes?
I'm listening, yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, funny
Any other
guy.
questions from the board?
No.
Is there anyone in the audience that would like to comment or speak of the information just given by the architect? I see none. Anyone in favor of this applicant? Anyone against this application? I see none. Would one of our members like to please recommend approval of this application, please?
Sure, I'm gonna recommend approving it. We started at a place that seemed far, far away. And we got back to planet Earth, and you're not really asking for a lot, and the shed has been there longer than you own the house, so I'll be voting yes. Application, 26:09, Lee Young, 50 Drain Street, Block 147, Lot 3, Zone R3. Recommend granting a C variance to construct a two-story addition, patio and landing with stairs contrary to section 430-35, column 4, and legalize an existing shed
In a front yard setback.
in a front yard setback. And that's it, correct?
Yeah, I don't think there were any conditions.
Okay, great. That's it?
Second.
Third.
Let's see, Jaskowitz.
Yes.
Mazzarella.
Yes.
Modi.
Yes.
Anglia.
Yes.
Prajapati.
Yes.
Ready.
Yes.
Grignani.
Yes.
You can go home.
Thank you, sir. Well done.
Thank you, Mr. Architect.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for.
Don't build anything else over there.
Right.
Lucky Jay.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Have fun with that guy.
Thank you, sir.
Application 26:06, Craig Tyrone, 37 Westminster Drive, Block 746, Lot 46, Zone R2. C variance to construct an open deck and stairs, install pavers around outdoor kitchen area, and paver patio, contrary to section 430-35, columns 13. Applicant may wish to legalize existing swimming pool in side yard setback for 5.78 feet, 78 inches, I guess, whereas 6 feet is required.
Oh, that's a mini mess.
Jerome?
Raise your right hand, please. Do you swear or affirm, excuse me, that the testimony that you're about to give should be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do, yeah.
State your name, spell your last name,
Greg
please.
Toron, last name is Toron, T-O-R-O-N.
And you're the applicant, correct?
Yes.
And you have someone with you tonight? Can you raise your right hand, please? Do you swear or affirm that the testimony that you're about to give should be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir.
State your name, please.
Thomas Bove,
Spell your last name.
B-O-V-E.
And what is your relationship to this application?
I'm a professional engineer, New Jersey licensed professional engineer.
Your license is in good standing?
Yes, sir.
Have you testified before this board before?
No, I have not.
Have you testified before other boards?
Yes, sir.
Have you been qualified previously as an expert in engineering?
Yes, sir.
I don't have any other questions on qualifications as well. Okay, so who wants to talk to the board about the application?
Sure, I'll jump into it. So, this lot has a few existing nonconformities, one of them being the existing in-ground swimming pool, which Craig actually brought a survey from 1973, which shows the pool there in the same location that it is today. So, assuming that there's been no objections since then, I assume that it's not going to be an issue moving forward. He's also over on the impervious coverage with the lot, so we are proposing to add some pavers, but in a good faith effort to keep the impervious coverage where it is now and actually reduce it. We propose to remove the deck and remove some concrete around the pool area, and we will be adding a few feet of pavers around the existing outdoor kitchen. We're actually reducing the impervious coverage, so we do not require any stormwater management. Right now, Craig's lot does have some existing drainage issues where he has some ponding, So we will be adding a few yard drains there to address that concern.
So when you purchased the house, it was in the configuration that currently exists?
100%. We've been there 18 years, and the only thing I changed, even though my wife would want me to do some work on it, the liner of the pool was about the only thing I changed out of it.
Okay, so all that was already
It's
existing?
already there, yes.
Okay, so, and you're proposing to improve the impervious coverage situation by removing concrete pad that's immediately adjacent to the pool, that looks like it's right on the property line, right?
That's correct, yep. And also removing the existing deck, we're gonna replace it with pavers, but there is a small, planting collar that we're gonna have around the perimeter of the house to make up for impervious there as well.
Do you know what the pavers are gonna be, dry laid, or are they gonna be grouted?
I'm not sure, honestly.
Haven't looked into that yet.
But you reduced the impervious coverage so that you aren't required to have a stormwater management plan, correct?
That's correct, yep.
And you did that by removing that concrete patio, right?
The bulk of it was with that concrete patio, and we gained some by removing the deck and adding that, replacing with that 18-inch planting, collar, with topsoil, and the rest would be pavers, but we gained some in that area as well.
Well, we have a letter from the engineer saying you don't need a stormwater management plan.
That's correct.
You do need a minor soil permit. You take care of that through the engineering department.
And, Nora, did you do this notice also?
Yep.
So this notice also has that catch-all phrase,
Yep.
correct? So you
That's
could,
coming in handy.
so would you like to amend your application to
Yes, I
include
do.
the pool variance as well?
Yes, sir.
Great.
What is it,
It's
12 inches?
not even.
Not even.
It's
Well, one
a
spot.
quarter of a foot, well, it's a quarter of a foot.
3 inches.
Yeah.
Oh, 3 inches.
3 inches too close, right?
On the worst,
Right.
on the worst case.
Right. 3 inches too close to the side.
In this courthouse. Great,
So just gotta get this sort of information.
okay.
Is that your complete testimony, sir?
That's all I got, unless you guys have any other questions.
Nope.
Any questions from the board?
No.
Any questions from the audience on this application?
They all left. I don't
They
think
all
you
left.
wanted to hear these.
Okay.
Oh, wait, just for the record, did you see the June 22nd, 2026 letter from the township engineer?
I have it right here, yep.
Okay, so are you okay with all of those comments?
Yeah, that's fine. We'll get him as-built, and he said that we need a soil permit, if it exceeds 5 cubic yards of soil moving, which it won't, everything's going at grade.
Okay, so you're okay with all those conditions?
Correct.
Okay.
I think this is as minor as could be, so I'm gonna be recommending it. You're welcome.
It's a de minimis recommendation.
I kept it short for a reason, so I know.
So they don't
Board
come back
member,
in.
frame a resolution, please.
Good, Mr. Rella.
Come on, paperwork away, bitch.
Too late. Application, you wanna do it or no?
Okay.
Application 2606, Craig Torrin, 37 Westminster Drive, Block 746, Lot 46, Zone R2, recommend granting a C variance to construct an open deck and stairs, install pavers around outdoor kitchen area, and paver patio contrary to section 430-35, column 13, and to legalize a swimming pool. Applicant was, yeah. That's it.
Second.
And the conditions is that he's gonna comply with the engineer's.
And the condition is, as Mr. Johnson said.
I'll second that.
Jaskowitz.
Yes.
Mazzarella.
Yes.
Modi.
Yes.
Neglia. Yes. Projapati.
Yes.
Ready.
Yes.
Grignani.
Yes. Application is approved. Good.
Thank you very much.
Receiving.
Good luck. Safe swimming.
So
Don't swim
I
onto the
think
neighbor's
your last
property.
applicant may be discussing something with their neighbor and their council, so maybe someone should move for
Should we just see if they're
Just a
close?
little, but would you like me to go out and see
Yes.
if they're talking?
Sure.
Okay.
I'd like to make a motion for Mr. Johnson to go outside and check out.
Johnson can make a motion. Johnson was so good, they're back.
They saw you coming, they said, oh, shoot, he got up.
We were keeping tabs.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Application 25:84, David and Tess Lewis, 30 Battle Ridge Road, Block 15.7, Lot 11, Zone R-1M, a C variance to legalize asphalt courts, shed on existing asphalt courts, patio pavers, open deck and stairs, contrary to section 10C, shed, side, and rear yards, section 430-10I, section 430-35, columns 8, asphalt courts and paver patio, section 430-35, columns 9, and section 430-35, columns 13. Okay?
Mr. Johnson, a quick question for you. My current employer
Yeah.
built that house. Did we say it was okay, or? It was before I was with the company.
Did you conflict yourself out the last time this was heard?
You know what, maybe no?
No?
I'm sure I raised it, I just wanted to make sure.
I don't have an issue.
Yeah, it's before I was even with the company.
I don't have an issue.
Okay.
His employer built the house?
Before he was
Before he
employed.
was employed.
I don't have an issue
Wait,
with
so
that.
they are the original owners?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I'm only with them 10 years, so.
So they were, yeah, right.
Yeah.
So you were not employed
No.
at the time that your current employer
Yes.
built or sold the house to the applicant,
Correct.
correct?
I have no
I don't see a
question.
conflict.
Okay.
You want to put your appearance on the record?
Yeah. Good evening, Madam Chairwoman, members of the board. My name is Anand Das. I'm a partner with the law firm of Kennedy's. I'm here this evening on behalf of my clients, Tess and David Lewis, with respect to their property at 30 Battle Ridge Road. It is block 15.07, lot 11, on the official tax maps of the township zoning maps. Notice of this application was duly provided pursuant to NJSA 40:55D-12. Proof of said notice was provided in an affidavit of service filed with the Secretary of the Board on June 24, 2026. By way of a brief background, my clients have owned this property since 1992. That fact that they have owned the property for 34 years is reflected in a deed that was recorded with the Morris County Clerk's Office on January 28, 1993. Mr. Johnson, I would like to mark the deed as Exhibit A1, and I have copies for the members of the board. We'll distribute that now.
Sure.
All of the exhibits together now. This is the summary
Of all the exhibits? Okay.
Exhibits, if we use them all in that order, that's the order of that.
Are they pre-marked?
Yes.
These are not.
Okay, so just give one to Nora, and then she can mark them as we go through them. And let me hand, it's more important that Nora has that than me.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, Mr. Nora, please.
No, thank you. So right now, you're marking A1, is that correct?
A1 is the deed to the property dated December 21st, 1992.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, the deed that has been marked as Exhibit A1 reflects that my clients have owned the property as in continuous ownership since the house was newly constructed. There was new construction in 1992. The property, as shown on the plans, is a two-story frame dwelling. It was improved with an asphalt driveway, a two-car garage, a front porch with steps, a rear deck, a patio, and an asphalt court that also has a storage shed sitting on it. The relevance of the deed, ladies and gentlemen, is that my clients have had full knowledge of the improvements of the property over the last 34 years. And while we are here tonight to quote-unquote legalize certain improvements that appear not to be consistent with the code as it is today, I would like to offer, before I turn it over to our engineer, that these improvements, namely the patio and the deck and the basketball court, were all existing at the time or in relation to the issuance of the initial certificate of occupancy that I commend the township's records I was actually able to find on the township's website. The certificate of occupancy was applied for on August 18th of 1992 and was issued later that year in December 16th, 1992. Mr. Johnson, I proffer the certificate of occupancy as Exhibit A2 without objection. That is a document, again, found on the township's website and is also made part of the exhibits. So the issuance of that permit, the certificate of occupancy, reflects that the improvements were constructed in relation to and discussions with the builder at the time the house was built. So I submit respectfully to you, members of the board, that the improvements that we are discussing tonight have been in existence for approximately 34 years. This is not a case, as there are frequent cases, as we all know, where a property owner constructs an improvement and later comes before a board seeking forgiveness. These improvements were subsumed as part of the initial certificate of occupancy, as part of a list that was prepared in relation with the builder at the time. Unfortunately, because my client has owned the home since that time, she's able to provide that recollection.
So do you have a survey from when your clients purchased the property?
From 1992, I do not, Bill. I don't have it.
There's no reference in the certificate, what you mark as A2, to whether those improvements were there or not. Now, I understand your
Sure.
client may testify
Sure.
that they were there, but there's no reference to them.
Correct,
in this-
correct. That's our representation. Correct.
That your client is going to testify that they've been there the whole time.
Yes, correct.
But you don't have a survey.
Not from let's have Joe Vuch, may be able to, he prepared a recent survey, and let's have Mr. Vuch sworn in, Bill.
Do swear or affirm that the testimony that you're about to give should be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? State your name, spell your last name, please.
My name is Joseph Vuch, that's V as in Victor, U-I-C-H.
And
Licensed engineer and licensed professional planner in the state of New Jersey, as well as certified municipal engineer.
Have you testified before this board before?
I have not before this board. I am the standing municipal engineer and board engineer in your neighboring Morris Township, Chester Borough, Long Hill Township, as well as others in Sussex County.
And your license is in good standing?
Both licenses are in good standing.
You seem to be qualified.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Joe was going to respond to your comment, Bill.
It's our understanding from discussions with our client that the improvements have been there since the time of their original inhabitants, and more specifically, that those improvements were part of a punch list on the closing of the home and negotiation with the builder. They were built and coordinated by the builder or through a subcontractor that he identified for them.
Do you know if the builder included those improvements in their building permit application?
I do not.
Is there any records that have been located that would indicate that the improvements that you're seeking to legalize today were included in the building permit application?
We have not found those documents to exist.
So we don't know, as we sit here today, whether when the building permit was issued, those improvements were included in that application.
No, we have the understanding from our client and their direct testimony, if required, that it was as part of the closing and punch list with the builder.
Okay, so your clients didn't build the house.
Correct.
So they have no firsthand knowledge as to what application was made to when they sought a building permit, correct? So they can't testify one way or the other as to whether these improvements were part of the application.
But they were provided a certificate of occupancy for the home they purchased in good faith by the builder, with their understanding of the punch list from the builder and the reconciliation of certain improvements that were being constructed at the time.
Mr. Johnson, I am sorry. I need a minute of your time.
Do you want a private minute?
I think I have to speak to you. I'm sorry.
Okay, well, let's, okay.
I think I need to recuse myself.
If you think you need to recuse yourself, then you need to recuse yourself.
I do.
And you don't need, and if that's how you feel, then you
Yes.
should recuse yourself.
I do.
Okay.
Okay? I'm
Thank
sorry.
you, Josh. Go ahead.
No problem.
Honesty, that's great.
Good evening, guys. Sorry for the delay.
Thank you.
Sure. Yeah.
That's what I think we'll get there. Okay, so,
Chair, may I briefly interject?
Well, can we finish our presentation and
you
he'll
have
have
an
his...
objection to something?
I do, along the lines of, should I put my appearance on? I remember.
You
Mr.
might as well
John-
put your appearance on now. So come up and put your appearance on the record, so the record can reflect who's speaking.
Good evening, Chair, members of the board, esteemed professionals. Michael Castori of Day Pitney, representing the owners of 34 Battle Ridge Road, Mr. and Mrs. Pinto. I didn't mean to interject to their introduction, but if there's going to be a factual representation that all the improvements have been in the state that they currently are when the property was purchased, I would like the direct testimony of the property owner
I
to
think we're gonna get
substantiate
there.
that. Okay,
I think
thank you.
he's just previewing the testimony.
Apologies.
Thank you. And to be clear, that is, we will put that on, Mr. Johnson and members of the board, but we're also here to provide the necessary proofs under the municipal land use law to have the variances, because as reflected by the certificate, if you look at the certificate, when the property was constructed in 1992, the zone was then considered a R3 zone. Currently, the zone is a R1M zone. And over 30 years, admittedly, there have likely been changes to the zone requirements. But we are here again tonight to address, with the preface, with the predicate facts that we were put on by our client as to the existence of these improvements in 1992. We also have a professional engineer and planner with us who will testify to why, notwithstanding or in spite of the fact that the improvements were lawfully existing, we're also prepared to put on the burden of proofs. Let me simplify for the board the variances. We can neatly address two of the variances, which are the accessory side yard, where 5.9 feet exists for the shed and 6 is required. And similarly for the rear yard for the shed, where 4.07 feet is existing and 6 is required. I can stipulate, having conferred with my client, that we will simply move over the shed to eliminate both the de minimis side yard infringement and as well as the rear yard. So we can address those two by agreeing to just simply move the shed over a few inches.
Okay, so your clients are going to move the shed so it complies.
Correct. So that takes care of variance for the side yard for the shed, as well as for the as well as for the shed's rear yard variance. Okay. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to our engineer, Mr. Vuch, to speak to the broader issues relating to the variances that remain.
So,
Okay.
good. To regroup on the improvements since the time of original construction. The extents of these improvements were well established and have remained since the original time of construction. Most notably, that being, and I'll refer, I'm going to skip what I had pre-marked. So 1 and 2 were submitted to you. A3.
Yeah. The applicant will mark Exhibit A3,
which is a agreement between the Lewises and the neighbors to the south on the driveway side, not the objector's side. And then my submitted boundary and topo survey from my firm was to be marked A4. A5 is our variance set as submitted, and then A6 impervious area exhibit, which was revised in coordination with Ms. Smith at the time of submission. I'm going to turn to that plan.
So A3 is an agreement between your clients and one of their neighbors.
Yes, with respect to the
To a fence.
to the fence and the proximity of the improvements on that side of the yard. Because the fence was installed as screening between properties.
Okay. A4 is your boundary and topographical survey?
Yeah, as submitted with the application.
Okay.
A5 is the variance plan set, the cover sheet and the plan as submitted with the application.
Okay.
And A6 is the impervious area exhibit, which was revised and at the same date in our coordination with Ms. Smith during our submission. And that is what I've turned to here in front of you. Colorized, it was colorized at time of, there's no change to it.
This was submitted to the board?
This was submitted to Ms. Smith in supplement to reconcile the zoning analysis.
Okay.
There were discrepancies between her calculations and ours, and we submitted this to clarify and make sure that our calculations were consistent with hers and your interpretations of your code. So the rear pavement area is up in the top. It's 899 square feet. That was originally constructed and has not been improved since that time. There are rear walks to that area of 117 square feet that were improved originally and remain as the original blue slate steps. And then the patio area, which is 1,179 square feet, is bound by an original wooden curb. And that area is the original extent of what was a blue slate. And then in the center and towards the south, and on the southern side, to that full limits of the property line, that extent always existed and was originally mulched and stone landscaped with a swing set and fire pit until the entire area was renovated with pavers as opposed to blue slate that were there prior.
So is it your understanding that that entire area, as originally constructed, was blue slate?
It was blue slate and landscape stone along the far portion.
Do you know how much of that area was covered by blue slate as originally constructed?
My understanding is roughly to the edge of the edge of the building.
And the rest of it was Mulch?
Like a stone mulch, which supported the walkway around the side from the driveway and in through the rear gate and into that extended patio area.
Do you know when that improvement was made?
Originally with.
When was it
with the railroad
changed?
ties. When was it changed?
Is your client gonna testify about
Approximately
that?
8 to 10 years ago.
Is there any record of any application being made to make that change?
No. The dwelling remains at its original constructed size, which our survey shows is a footprint of 2,479 square feet. The front driveway with the walls on the side of the driveway at 928 square feet is the original alignment and constructed width and extents, as well as the front steps are the original configuration, but I understand were maintained and renovated to keep them compliant. Settling of certain pavers and others over the years. AC units, condenser units on the side that also contribute to impervious coverage that have been part of the home since its original construction. The areas that are part of more recent landscape renovations would be an incompleted small landscape wall of approximately 18 inches to maybe 2 feet in height. That was part of an attempt of mitigation recommended by the township engineer, as well as this kind of curbing around the edge of the lawn area in that area. Those are the only modern improvements other than the maintenance replacement of the blue slate and stone to a consistent paver patio in the last 8 to 10 years. And so I would turn to our next exhibit A7, which are the existing condition photos. So we see on the top, I'm sorry, I will slide back. There was one other modification. The deck steps were relocated at approximately the same time. They were originally more centrally located, and they were shifted over to align with the existing sliding glass door from the kitchen, just out of convenience for coming in and out in the rear, but they were simply just slid over at one point.
So that entire yellow space there with the pavers now, that was all slate, now it's all pavers?
It was slate with a small area of landscape stone.
Okay, but now it's all pavers?
It is all pavers.
So what is the difference as far as impervious coverage between the way the slate was put in and the way the pavers are?
It was a full finished slate.
It was no crack, water couldn't get through?
Yeah, it wasn't slate with stone around it, it was slate edge to edge, like I have the same at home.
Concrete in between.
Yeah, no.
Sitting on concrete.
Sitting on grade flush stone, edge to edge cut stone, cut blue stone.
Water cannot.
It was impervious at the time.
Okay.
And it was replaced impervious.
It was expanded, correct?
Yeah,
it was
The
expanded.
gravel impervious area was replaced with pavers, along with the bluestone area that was impervious
Well-
replaced with pavers.
So you think the pre-existing gravel, is it your testimony that you believe that was considered impervious?
It was compacted and well-traveled by the feet of their children playing in that area, the fire pit, and over the years, as well as people coming in and out of that area. So yes, it acted as a mostly impermeable surface cover.
Do you know?
Similarly to a access road by gravel that cars infrequently use is considered under DEP's definitions to be impervious.
Okay.
So A7 is the existing photos from April 14th, 2026. Views from the deck looking south. A view from that corner, southern corner of the deck looking back across the patio, the existing paver patio as renovated.
Joe, can we, Mr. Castro can see it, can we turn this so that he can see it?
You have the copy work them? They're all in that package. Yes. in order. They're just not marked yet, so we can mark them while we're here. In the top right corner is the small yard area and that unfinished small landscape wall, as I said, a foot to 18 inches, maybe 2 feet at its most to the bottom of the foundation that's buried, which is a wall that would not require construction permit, but that was done at the request of the township engineer, trying to reconcile drainage issues. The upper area, this is the existing pavement, the original pavement. You can see its wear and age and condition in these two photos, left bottom and center bottom. And then from that area, this is a shot back towards the house, off the pavement and the mulch landscape area that drains down on a slope towards their property.
Who's their property?
Our client's property. The next exhibit is A8. This is a near map aerial imagery, high resolution aerial imagery from April 8th, 2026 on the top, the most current available image, as well as 2015, April 12th, which is the furthest back available image. These images are consistent on all improvements at the property dating back to 2015, including, while it's not as easily seen on 2026, the upper area of the asphalt that is undisputed still remains, and it's more clearly visible in 2015. And we see no change in conditions over these 11 years, with the exception of this constructed wall at this location.
And then the steps from the
What
middle
is the
to side.
history?
I'm sorry?
And then the steps from middle to side.
Oh, yes, and the steps, exactly, that I mentioned before. That's why I went back, thank you.
What is the history of the wall? You mentioned that the township engineer was involved in that.
Yes, there are, along with the letter for this application, he attached his prior correspondence on the matter related to the drainage dispute that had started the initial application. Next is A9. So I'm going backwards in time. This is NJ GeoWeb's, the NJDEP's 2007 infrared aerials. We use the infrared aerials because they're easier to see through tree cover. There is still, tree limbs that you have to see through, and obviously these get grainier as we go back based on technology. But again, we see, comparing to what we just looked at in 2015 to 2026, the same improvements, the same patio area. Right here, there are trees, so there are branches kind of covering to this area, but this is that area right here where we're talking about these paver patios do extend all the way to the property line, and previously right in here was an improved area.
So this is 2007 picture?
This is 2007, yes. The next goes back to 2002. Same, no change in conditions, no change in improvements, no improvements done to the property without obtaining permits.
This is A10?
This is 2002, this is A10. Again, getting grainier, but this is what is available to us to demonstrate and document that there were no substantial changes to the property. And then we go back one further, which is the closest we can get to our 1992 certificate of occupancy. We see a lot of grain and distortion in the image, but again, this does align back up with the same limits of improvement that are in the prior, this being A11, in A10, A9, A8, 7, and back to what we see today in my A6 exhibit, which is our surveyed impervious area exhibit. Now A12 is an exhibit that I prepared for tonight's hearing with today's date, July 8th, 2026. This is the neighborhood lot coverage exhibit. Our client's property is here, 30 Battle Ridge, lot 11, in the middle. What we'll see consistently through this document, and you should have a small copy in front of you to make it easier to see. On all these lots, we have very similar lot areas of roughly 15,000 and change. Over here, Lot 9, 2 houses away, is larger at 17,344, but the neighbor to the right, which is the south, 15,008 square feet. Our property, 15,025. Our neighbors to the left, the north side, is 15,005 square feet. And further, one more, 15,012 square feet. Similarly, across the street, we have larger lot areas that extend into the woods, but the developable footprint is similar. We see the same, you can see the same roof pitch patterns. These are step and repeats by the builder on the building type. This was not an A, B, C, D, rotate and step. This was essentially a one pattern, step and repeat through. We see, because of that, minor discrepancies in the percentage of building coverage, building plus deck coverage, and total impervious coverage on most of these properties. Our client's property at 16.5 building coverage and building plus deck of 17.787, which are two of the variances that are in front of you tonight, as well as their impervious coverage, a third variance that's in front of you tonight, 42.22% of their lot coverage. We see comparative building coverage of 16.3 on our neighbor to the north, lot 12, 34 Battle Ridge. Building and deck coverage, which is actually slightly higher than ours at 19.7, and impervious coverage of 30.7. On the other side, on the south side, lot 10, 28 Battle Ridge, we see 16.3 of the building coverage, 20% on the building and deck, and 31.3% on the total impervious. And this is consistent percentages throughout the neighborhood. If we go 2 houses north to 38 Battle Ridge, lot 13, we see 16% on the building, 16.3 on the building, which is slightly below ours at 16.5. We see a building plus deck above ours at 19.3, and we see an impervious coverage above ours at 51%. And this is a good example of some of the upper bounds of, this is obviously a more modern pool improvement in modern times, but based on the construction of our impervious area in the 90s, it is comparable, and lot 13 far exceeds us by 9% on total lot coverage in the rear yard, which in this area all drains westerly and down the page towards Battle Ridge.
Do you know if 38 Battle Ridge got a variance to put that pool in?
I do not. I would expect they did, because it's an obvious improvement that requires multiple construction code permits, but it is representative of what I assume is a approval for lot coverage in the modern zoning in this area, in this neighborhood. And it's a good transition to my next and final exhibit, A13, which is the first sheet and also the 5th sheet out of a set of 8, which is the Powder Mill Village Phase 3, Section 2 subdivision, which was dated 1988, June 7th. This is filed map 4675. On this filed map cover sheet, we see zoning, which was the proposed zoning for zone R1M, an alternate 2 version, with the ordinance requirements. And what we see in this table is an understanding that the Powder Mill Village subdivision, which is quite expansive and has multiple phases and sections, included contemplations for residential, commercial, industrial office, single-family dwellings, as well as townhomes, each of which having respective densities. Minimum and maximum lot sizes were required to be between 12,500 to 17,500, and what was provided in the creation of these lots was 13,050 to 19,910. So when we look at this table, we understand that there was what I understand to be a cluster density modification approval of the original subdivision of Powder Mill. The improvements at that time and the development of the lots as single-family dwellings were understood to have a certain density that exceeds your current zoning and is lawfully existing when constructed and improved at that time. We see a understanding as well of open space required of up to at 30%, which was intended to be 78.9 acres. The developer provided 95.44 acres. And there was a required setback in the front yard to the residential roads of 30 feet. And as we flip to sheet 5,
Is this A14?
this is part of A13.
Okay.
Second page, we see the lots. Our subject lot is lot 11 here. There is consistently a 40-foot building setback line, not 30, provided by the developer. We see a 15, as I noted before, 15,000 square foot lots being created in the median average between the minimum and maximum required. And as I noted earlier, some 20 plus acres more provided in open space as part of the cluster density, the, if you will, horse trading of the zoning of that subdivision originally. So we understand that the totality of the subdivision in its sections was contemplated with a certain density and anticipation of reasonable improvements for a single-family dwelling in this particular section. And those reasonable improvements have existed since the 90s, constructed under either the direct hand or subcontracted hand of the developer initially to its original limits, and then were supplemented by contractors for minor landscaping improvements and maintenance through the years by our client without exceeding any of the original limits. And so, respectfully, it would be our position that these are lawfully existing improvements, can be acknowledged as such by the board as part of the original CO. The aerial history demonstrates a consistency of that in the absence of an original survey from the builder on record with the municipality as part of his CO. And no other municipal records that have been provided to us that document anything to the alternative. In that, we will provide planning proofs in the alternative and would prefer to receive all the variance relief now, so we have a modernized acceptance of variance relief in 2026 under current zoning to further reinforce that all of these are lawfully existing in perpetuation moving forward. And with that, in brief, my planning hat, and then I will supplement at your direction. Understanding that the first part that I explained about the lawfully existing improvements, I do believe those would categorize under a hardship C1 variance under section 7, that the structures lawfully existing thereon in strict application of the ordinance would result in particular and exceptional practical difficulties and undue hardship to the applicant because they were originally approved, contemplated as part of the subdivision, and then executed by the builder and issued COs that were not in dispute in any form from 1992 until 2023 approximately, when the dispute between neighbors originally arose. That started with the zoning violation that brought my client to this forum on a prior application that was withdrawn and then resubmitted with professionals in support.
I understand your point with respect to the upper asphalt area.
Yeah.
It seems pretty clear that that probably existed. But there's a change with respect to the patio area right behind your client's house.
The change is in
The blue slate.
what was a blue slate and mixed stone area, which I would say was approximately 80% blue slate, full coverage. And I'm going to turn back to that. What was our exhibit A6. So this area is 1,179 square feet. About 80% of that is the rough estimate of where that full cover-to-cover blue slate was to the edge of the existing curbs that have not been modified. And that last 20% area, so we look at,
200 square feet.
yeah, 240 square feet.
Do you have any documentation that shows that gravel was there? Any photographs, any surveys, anything that shows that that was gravel?
No, just the honesty of my client that she did not state that it was fully impervious as blue slate, but instead clarified that it was the stone area that was originally bounded by the wooden railroad ties.
Who is going to tell us? The township engineer became involved.
Yes.
In the drainage issue.
He did.
What preceded that? How did that get to the township engineer?
So there was an unfortunate incident of a failure of a hose and valve in the rear yard and the rear spigot, which is roughly in this area and over this patio area that I understand drained north and then west around the property and over the property line to get to the curb.
Okay.
And that matter was a rare instance, was corrected between property owners by communication, and the valve was turned off, and then
It's an
there was,
accident.
that was understood to be an accident, and then there was, I believe, a higher attention to rainfall after that time, and what kinds of impacts the rainfall were having to both respective properties.
So did that accident happen before or after the slate was changed? Do we know?
It would have been after.
Okay, and then-
Years after.
I guess
About 5 years after.
my other question is, we don't have a survey from the original build, right? Did anybody attempt to get one?
We don't have one in our possession.
But was there an attempt made to get an original survey? Because my house was built in '64 and I have an original survey. So I guess my question is, if we had the original survey in front of us, we would know
You would-
exactly what was approved
Well-
for the CO then, no?
You would know what was on the survey.
Right.
And
So,
That doesn't mean that someone is part of the sale of the house didn't add some improvements. You would know what was on the survey.
that's on, and I guess that would go a long way.
That
in
speaks to the builder's intent and what the builder submitted, and if he had done any improvements that he did not communicate to our owner and the first occupier that were not part of his CO, but he had not.
I mean, most of these things are add-ons after you occupy the house. The size of these patios in the court area out in the back.
Correct, and as shown
Not a common improvement going along with the initial.
at the time of the construction, which is an issue we see in stormwater management for major development, of the lack of DEP's understanding of what happens with a subdivision. So when I wear my municipal hat, right, I look for stormwater mitigation by the developer in excess of the lot coverage he's proposing,
Right.
but more of the lot coverage that's allowed, so that the next owner can make improvements that are already mitigated for. That's not something we contemplated in the 90s.
Fair enough. I'm
Respectfully.
just saying, my point is just if I were able to look at the original survey, then maybe that would shed a little more light on
I
the
understand, and that's why I provided A12, the lot coverage in the neighborhood, so you have an understanding that.
No, current one is, we understand we can compare, but do you mean to say that that asphalt in the backyard that is built
Has,
by the
has not
builder?
been replaced since.
No,
1990s.
builder gave like that?
The builder built it.
Yeah,
know
I
that.
I agree with Mr. Mozzarella, like, we'll have some starting point. If we have survey, we could have some starting point, okay, this is the starting point.
And that's all I'm saying. I mean, obviously, we're gonna hear testimony that it was there, but we might hear testimony that it wasn't there.
And so
Right.
with that, let me offer that the Assistant Municipal Engineer, Mr. Niehoff, his comment letter dated March 11th, item 2, indicates that there's stormwater runoff from the backyards flowing towards the neighborly direction. But more importantly, item 4 identifies that our municipal code here locally, with respect to minor development stormwater regulations, was adopted in 2021. And he concluded that there were no additional improvements since 2021, and therefore stormwater mitigation is not required. This would be if we contemplate the whole of all of that in modern times, of anything that's really in dispute of being constructed, or modified in change of impervious, we're talking about what was about 250, rounding conservatively up, square feet on this side. 250 square feet in any municipality in the state is pretty much exempt under local codes from requiring stormwater mitigation. Typically, municipalities might impose a mitigation requirement around 500 at the lowest, or more typically closer to 1,000, or when there's 1,500 square feet of disturbance as part of triggering minor stormwater mitigation.
Depend on the R1, R2, R3 zone.
Depending on the zones, yes. But we're looking at, since the time of zoning in this municipality, there is no stormwater mitigation requirement for any of these improvements.
So I guess your point there is that even if they added that patio, since it was before March of 2021, or even thereafter, it wouldn't have required stormwater mitigation measures.
That
Your
is,
point?
that is the assistant municipal engineer's position, and I agree with his position.
So if I look back, and maybe this was put in back in 92 or whenever, but there's, on the February 14th, 2025 letter from the engineering office, right? It says about a 4-inch drain that was capped supposedly?
So there was, this area is bound by a railroad tie. It doesn't flush drain off, so it does pool water at times. There was a small ADS drain, we see it here, this grade elevation, very small little 4-inch cap.
Right.
That alleviated anything that held into this corner, which was about maybe a 1/2-inch lip of the railroad tie to the paver, to drain into this lawn area immediately right here. In this
Right. Now, was that added after the original build, or was that?
That was part of, I believe, the pavers being replaced for the bluestone.
Okay, so then that was.
And then this wall here was part of the mitigation that was started in good faith at the direction of the municipal engineer to try to resolve that dispute.
To prevent the water go to the neighbors.
Right, so that this lawn area would kind of prevent that from sheeting away and hold it into this area so it would infiltrate into this lawn area. What is
there in that area? Is it?
This is lawn.
Steps or
This is
something?
all lawn here, yeah.
You said it was not finished, what?
We were, understood it was a stop work order to stop the work because it was objected to by the neighbor, and the township engineer thought it prudent to stop the work as opposed to erect, because it doesn't require permits, doesn't require UCC permits. Perhaps it required zoning permits for the extent of everything else, and that's what was issued and what started this process.
Was the wall intended to mitigate stormwater runoff?
It was.
To direct it?
No,
It's a landscape wall, respectfully. I don't believe it mitigates anything, but the township engineer thought it prudent to place it in that location to help create a boundary between the properties.
And it also says about that 4-inch drain that it was said to be capped, but it was buried, and then the erosion that was noticed kind of led them to believe that maybe it wasn't capped?
So that drain right here, you have an edge of sod.
Right.
And they then exposed that, cut it, and opened it right here to alleviate that issue when he was inspecting.
Okay, I didn't.
So currently, it discharges all of maybe 6 inches through this curb.
All right, so, but it's not capped?
No, it's not capped.
Okay.
Correct. It discharges well within the property, about a foot away from this edge right here.
Right, but, okay, but it's still, if there's a flood, it comes out and around, it comes down to the front of the house? Or to the neighbor's property?
Right, which is this area we're speaking of?
Right,
is
right.
Right in here, so that discharge is right there.
Okay, so when this spigot, in correlation with that drain, where would the spigot have been located?
The spigot's located right here off the center.
It's
top
off
photo.
Okay.
And then I understand that water sat in this area and drained that way.
Okay.
So the water in this property drains north and west?
So I'll turn to A4, which is our survey. The water generally drains west from the top to the bottom, to the front to Battle Ridge Road, there is a elevation of the first floor with sloping northerly towards the neighbor to the north along the property line. And immediately in the rear here, there's a breaking grade as well. So the natural drainage pattern is directly through westerly, and on the north side, it does drain north to and through the property line to the front, which we see with the
It's all
topo that's
funneled-
picked up.
It's all funneled over to that spot.
Yeah, maybe the back half, the northerly half, the other northerly side, the southerly side drains around the other side of the building.
Right, so it looks like there's about, when house to house lines up, looks like about, is that 3 feet of a slope down?
There's a 12.4 foot setback on our property, and then similarly to the neighbors.
Yep.
So about 25 feet between foundations.
So it says 815.6, what is that? And then it drops down to 812.9
Correct.
towards their house.
There's
So
a pitch of the original
slope. So the
breaking
slope,
grade between the properties.
everything slopes towards that.
Right.
Yeah, Mr. Mazzarella, that's a good point, because as Joe was testifying, one of the unique aspects of this property is the steepness of the slope from the
Right.
rear.
Right.
And it's actually the natural topography, which is why we believe it justifies the planning proofs, is of the unique topography of the property.
Landscape, yeah, this,
Well, that old neighborhood's steep. I mean, what's
Yeah.
unique about that?
whole neighborhood.
Well, the unique
Well,
part of
what's-
the 3 foot difference to the one house to the
particularly-
next is kind of sending everything.
What is unique would be that subsection 7 of looking at lawfully existing structures with strict application of our current zoning in relation to improvements that were constructed under the original zoning of that area. I think that is applicable to hardship, is my professional opinion, that is applicable, and that's,
You emphasize the zoning's been changed. In detail or in a gross way?
well, for example, when we look at the neighborhood lot coverage, we have in this zone, right, buildings plus deck is allowed to be 10%, which is the building coverage in the zone,
Yeah.
plus an additional 4%, 14%. 10% to 14% combined. Every house in this neighborhood exceeds 10%. The closest to 10% is 11.3 and 11.8 across the street, where the lots are significantly larger. But the comparable lots on our north side, our east side of Battle Ridge, are all in excess of the combined, for the building coverage alone, the combined building plus deck, at 16.3 going north to south in our neighbors, 16.3, 16.3, our lot at 16.5, 16.3, 13.5, again, a larger lot. And then we see building plus deck well in excess of that additional 4% to 14 at 19.3, 19.7, our client at 17.87, 20% neighborly, and 16.4. So we are the second lowest in that combined impervious coverage.
Well, that's building plus deck.
That's building
What
plus
about
deck.
improvements?
And total improvements, we are, our neighbors to the north are 30.7, our neighbor to the south is 31.3, further to the south is 32.6, we are 42.2, and our neighbor 2 houses to the north is 51%.
That's the one with the pool,
That is the one with the pool.
which it's a reasonable assumption that they got a variance for that pool.
Under modern standards. And I would argue that, I don't have that in front of me, but if I was giving their planning proofs, I would identify that this is a reasonable improvement in modern times, customary and incidental to a home.
Water.
Yeah.
It collects the water and it's impervious. It's similar in size, in fact, larger in size than our asphalt area, which if I was giving their proofs in modern times, I would have identified us 2 houses away.
But the pool collects water.
It does, but it is treated as impervious
I
coverage.
understand it's treated as impervious coverage, but it collects water.
It collects water faster than it evaporates water, which means that water has to be mitigated, and that water is actively managed and pumped through a specific pipe discharge in your filter system, which can create more specific erosion and detriment to neighbors when discharged, when backwashed. And typically the patio then drains away and drains to drains that would mitigate that stormwater impact as well.
Other than removing the shed, is the applicant willing to make any other changes to the property to address any stormwater management issues?
Respectfully, there are no the property is exempt from stormwater management requirements. So unless the stormwater management mitigation is the board's direct belief is related to the relief provided for the variance as a planning mechanism to impose an engineering mechanism for mitigation that is not required by your code, no, we do not propose any mitigation because it is not required and never has been by your code. And it would be contemplated, and we're willing to discuss it, if it needs to be provided with respect to the variance relief to mitigate the variance. But I believe I've well documented the neighborhood and the intensity of the neighborhood, and we are characteristic of such.
What efforts have been made to discuss with the neighbors their issues?
My understanding is that there was an incident, it was mitigated, then there was attention to rainfall and runoff, and that matter was brought by the neighbor to the municipality, and the municipality took action to try to mitigate that with the engineer, and then ultimately a zoning enforcement that started this process in front of this board and brought the jurisdiction to this board for the contemplation of what is lawfully existing and what needs a variance.
So communication broke down someplace along the line between this property owner and your neighbor?
Correct. The relationship deteriorated at some point, yes.
And why haven't you tried to, instead of being here, rekindle that process?
Mr. Chadwick, we have, and in fact, we had a discussion with the objector's attorney. We were here in good faith. We have tried to have a discussion. Some of the mitigation that's being requested hasn't been, from Joe's perspective, reasonable to actually address. One of the issues, as explained, is the natural runoff is existing that contributes to the water on their property. However much, I can't sit here and tell you what percentage of the runoff on the property is coming from my client's property, but Joe could give you a better sense that it's not demonstrative that all of the water that they're having issues with, or because of the natural slope, is coming from my client's property.
Or from a specific activity of changing any direction of flow by our client. And so the requests have respectfully been non-commensurate to the requirements of the municipality, and we are willing to consider them when they are commensurate to what the municipality would require of us.
Obviously, something happened. I doubt you're gonna have a neighbor just say, geez, I don't like this, and make a big fuss about it. So, and obviously, this board can't force you to sit down with your neighbors, but it seems to me common sense would say that's what we should be doing first.
And that was attempted, and we are in front of this board.
It sounded like you dropped it.
No.
You were involved with that process?
We all were. In fact, we had a discussion even earlier before this meeting to try to see if we're willing to entertain a reasonable solution, but we believe both the fact that we have improvements that have been existing on this property for over 30 years, combined with the fact that we have planning testimony of the neighborhood scheme, exceptional, peculiar nature of the property that justifies these planning variances. We've agreed to mitigate the 2 setbacks. We appreciate the board's recommendation to be reasonable, and we take that to heart. But these are conditions that have existed for well over 3 decades. And the isolated incident, from our perspective, certainly the objector can dispute it, was an incident in July of 2023 when there was a garden hose, as Mr. Vuce indicated, and I'm happy to have my client testify to that, that was left on, and it due to the pressure, it admittedly caused an issue with respect to the neighbor's property. The water channeled unnaturally onto the neighbor's property. It was an unfortunate incident. And that sole incident triggered this board's involvement, the township's involvement. None of the other properties on the street have had the same issues. My client's planning woes began with that incident. And we have, again, otherwise an undocumented history with this property of no water issues. I'm not saying that the objectors may not have water issues, but my client has not made improvements to compound those issues. The issues, the conditions have been the same for over 30 decades. I'm happy to place my client, and I will place my client for direct testimony on that. And I appreciate the board's, we would, if we had a survey, we would be producing it. But we do intend to rely upon the planning proofs by Mr. Vuce, a professional engineer and planner, to otherwise legalize the improvements that have been existing from the inception of the property.
Irrespective of our willingness to continue to work with a neighbor to a neighborly resolution, we are in front of this board for this board's opinion to document lawfully existing conditions and provide variance relief for the benefit of record of our client and the property and any successors. And that is clearly within this board's jurisdiction and why we're here. Now, respectfully, as a municipal engineer who serves for many of these communities in this area, it's my opinion that the interjection of the municipal engineer was slightly aggressive to step in when there is no substantial documentation of a direct and quantifiable impact from our client, with the subtraction of whatever from the objector's property contributes to the same issue. There is no quantification of what's coming from our property to their foundation line, and what I understand is water infiltration through a foundation wall that is now nearly 40 years old, in a garage at the garage level, which is multiple feet down in grade from the finished exterior grade. So what we're being asked to mitigate is something that has not been directly quantified and attributed to our client in any substantial form. And in those scenarios, in my other municipalities, in those scenarios, I exit and leave it as a neighborly dispute as it is between property owners.
Well, this is the letter of February the 14th, 2025, by our engineer.
Yes.
Last paragraph, he is recommending that there be a swale and a berm adjacent to the property line between 30 and 34 Battle Ridge. Has any communication, are you telling us that there has been a breakdown in communication, that this suggestion hasn't even been suggested
My understanding,
to your client and to?
it was, and it was received and heard, and the efforts in that area were an attempt towards a similar improvement. However, it was,
Are the walls
it was
that you're talking about,
the,
that little wall by the landscape? Is that what
yes.
you're talking about?
And
To
the
try
start,
to
and the start of that.
alleviate some of this drainage onto the other property?
Yes, and so that was done by a landscaper in an attempt to provide what the engineer was asking for. And it is my understanding from speaking to my client that the neighbors objected to that being done without substantial effort and cost-generative nature of design, submittal, and approval by the township engineer. And that's where the communication broke down.
The stop orders were issued.
Sorry?
When the stop orders were issued.
Well, the stop work, the work was being done at the request and direction of the engineer to negotiate a dispute between neighbors that respectfully the township engineer should not be in the middle of. is not a township
Well,
issue.
he was, so we're not gonna.
They did follow up on July 21st with, to follow up on that swale or berm that said there was no depiction of a swale or berm to control runoff. I guess, I didn't, looking at this, it doesn't say anything about to build a wall. Their suggestion was simply the berm, which I don't know because I'm not a landscaping professional, but I don't know if a berm or a swale is cheaper than putting in a
I
wall.
think the wall was landscape aesthetic and dividing the area, and the berm would be part of the landscaping behind and along the side.
Right.
And that work did not go to completion.
So there
because
was a plan to put in a berm there?
There was an ongoing effort to provide what the engineer wanted.
All right, because he said.
And
just
it was
says the plan
not,
does not-
and that, what the engineer requested, I understand, did not meet the burden of what the neighbor required. And that's where the communication broke down.
Okay.
And that's where it became a zoning matter instead, with respect to whether or not these are lawfully existing improvements. And that's why we're in front of your jurisdiction.
But does your client has any plan to do?
No.
No, there doesn't seem to be a plan.
We'd like to
The letter of
address this
July
matter
21st
first
states that there is
with the
no
board's
plan
jurisdiction.
to
We might as well
depict
just
a
move on
swirl
with their
or a berm.
testimony.
What search did you do to try to find an original survey?
The township records are available online, that's where we got the CO. There was no attached survey. There was no survey provided by the zoning office in their direct efforts.
Pretty good records.
There is one survey of Parker Engineering from 2024 that was obtained by our client as part of their prior application to this zoning board that was withdrawn without prejudice before they came back to this board with us as professionals to represent them. That is the only known survey on record that my client has with their original title and their deed. It is not recorded in the county clerk's office. My understanding is it's not recorded in the municipal building, any 1992 survey. And best I can give you is a documentation of all the aerials that date back to 1997, albeit some of them getting grainy. But they are consistent with the high-res images that I provided throughout the last 15 years.
Did you try to do this all online, or did you come up here and ask it?
I personally
Yeah.
didn't do all of the exhaustive search, but I did my searches online.
The zoning department would have been the place to find the survey, final as-built.
The
Well,
town
and-
had one of those files way back when. And-
Microfilm?
Yeah, now they were called something else.
I'm sure there's one around because I have one from 64.
I have one from 61st.
Do you have any other direct testimony?
No.
Joe, do you want to just speak to the negative criteria for the variances?
Yeah, would you like me just to speak to the C2 proofs and the alternatives to the C17?
Yes, you might as well
Yeah.
finish your testimony.
We're not going to
So,
do anything here.
with respects to the benefits of the deviation substantially outweighing the detriments, we've looked at,
We lost somebody.
He just went to the men's
You
room.
went to the men's room. Could you wait a moment?
Yes,
Joe,
I can.
please?
No
Thank you, thank you.
would you like to take a 5-minute break for everyone
Sure.
else to have the same
I think that would be a
accommodation?
good idea.
Thank you.
Motion.
All right,
you back
5
on
minutes
record?
are up.
Yeah.
All present, please continue.
Reappearing is Joseph Fuchs. We were discussing the start of the C2 flexible variance proofs for the benefits of the deviations substantially outweighing any detriments of the variance it would cause to both the overall plan and the neighborhood, or any particular property. As our testimony already previously addressed, these are well documented to be well-established existing conditions for decades without substantial alterations and any documentation to refute such. They're, with the exception of most recently, individualized identification of an impact being alleged by our client in their actions in 2023. There were no prior histories of such, documenting any detriment to a specific property or any other property in the neighborhood or in the zone. The improvements to this property are, as shown in Exhibit A12, the neighborhood lot coverage exhibit on our property, coincidental and incident to a single-family dwelling, in their overall density and intensity are consistent with the neighborhood as originally planned and as constructed and evolved over the years and decades. to its current standing. Our property does not stand out in that intensity with its neighboring properties and the rest of the Battle Ridge subdivision in this phase and section of Powder Mill Village. There is no specific detriment to the overall original approval, and I believe the original approval of the density and the cluster density with the open space appropriately addressed the density of this single-family section, and is still intact today through reasonable improvements to the properties and maintaining existing limits of improvements. The benefits of extending the variances to the modern standards of our zoning is an acknowledgement of the prior existing, lawfully existing improvements, that they are more consistent with the original zoning and the intent of that original subdivision approval and construction, and that they still in today are coincidental and appropriate in the neighborhood to that of our neighbors, and most recently, the improvement of a pool in the neighborhood, which exceeds our lot coverage. Of specific note would also be that our property was one of the first COs issued in this part of the community, that this section of Battle Ridge was then constructed for years and issued multiple COs on other lots to the builder sequentially, while the builder was still present, was still held under bond for the municipal improvements of the roadway and infrastructure and stormwater mitigation measures, and eventually released from those bonds years later, satisfying their obligations of each individual CO as well as their obligations to the public improvements. And over that time, there was no documented detriment established and asked to be mitigated from this property by the builder. So respectfully, the time has come and passed for any possible sins of the builder that were in discrepancy to the CO and not communicated to our client, that they do not impact the zone plan in any specific detriment at a greater scale or even individualized to a neighbor today. And so I do believe that the benefits in a C2 flexible hardship significantly outweigh any potential detriments that I see none of.
What reliefs are you requesting now?
Sorry?
What relief?
Well, we've addressed the shed setbacks and we're willing to move it.
Yeah.
We asked for the relief setback on the existing asphalt area to remain at its setbacks.
So that's the rear and the side yard for the asphalt court, right?
Correct. The side yard of the patio to the opposite neighbor, not the neighbor objecting, but the neighbor that has provided a agreement, which is Exhibit A3 for the property, and that is a fence agreement and our continued maintenance of that fence on their property, because it is on the high side in elevation and provides screening of that improvement being lawfully standing there for 30-plus years at the edge of the property that doesn't provide the setback required by the zone. As well as the building coverage over 10%, the building plus deck coverage.
Before you get to that, so there's a paver patio variance.
For the setback of the paver
For the
patio.
setback of the paver.
To the southerly neighbor's lot line.
Right, I understand that. So that is the area of the paver patio that was previously gravel, correct?
Blue slate?
In that, yes.
That was the gravel.
Well, it was a blue slate, and then that area was the compacted gravel.
Right, so the area that is currently, so the area where you need the variance for the side yard setback for the paver patio was previously the gravel area.
And yes, and the limits to that setback are the existing railroad ties that have been there since day one and would have required variance relief at that time.
Just as railroad ties?
As a compacted stone area, which is under DEP's definitions of impervious coverage, considered impervious coverage.
Mr. Verch, on the gravel issue, do you have any way to show that prove how compact that gravel was?
It was highly traveled daily
By
over the area.
vehicles?
No, by feet, by equipment, by lawn chairs and a fire pit being relocated. There was a swing in that area originally before the fire pit. It is a highly trafficked stone patio area that under zoning would normally be considered a impervious improvement.
Squiggles on top of rocks?
Yeah, it was the 90s. You want to see my knees? I mean, my knees, I grew up at that time too.
I mean, I guess the issue, I understand that when you have a gravel road, gravel driveway or something, and with years of vehicular traffic, I can see that being crushed, compacted, whatever. I really don't see, from a practical matter, what's essentially landscape gravel, and I've actually written ordinances to differentiate between trafficked gravel and landscape gravel, because we had people putting in the Riverstone and getting around Riverstone mulch around their gardens and getting a violation for impervious cover.
I understand.
And it made no sense.
And I provide the same relief in my municipalities of reasonable understanding of what is truly landscaped areas and what are compacted areas by foot traffic, by equipment of your wheelbarrow, your lawnmower, other things being moved in and out throughout the space over decades. The ground underneath is compacted. It is highly resistant to infiltration compared to the natural lawn areas adjacent to it. And under DEP's definitions, that can be considered as impervious, or it certainly would generate a higher runoff potential than if it was not. And so I would respectfully treat it as impervious, because it would be lot coverage if you wanted to, in the original configuration of a bluestone plus stone, all bound by the railroad ties, that area is lot coverage. It is part of the impervious coverage of the property under zoning, not the engineering side of stormwater mitigation, which we are exempt from, but under zoning considerations, 250 square feet is roughly what we're talking about, would have been considered a lot coverage improvement as part of our total accumulation. And it is specifically exempt at that size and extent from stormwater mitigation.
Where does the water run from this new patio?
The water from that area?
Yes. Before you, with a hand demonstration, said roughly half the backyard goes down the
So
west
this
side and the
this
other half.
southerly edge from our topo survey
Yeah.
drains along the edge of that curb, and everything does drain slightly towards the building and slightly inward towards the pit, so it does drain down and through and kind of towards this side.
Is there a railroad tie in the front?
No, there is an open gate there, so the railroad tie terminates on the side of the paver walkway there.
Is the
So it
river,
doesn't all sheet flow over and go around that area where you started to build the little.
I think roughly 50 to 60% from around the pergola drains probably this way after anything comes down onto the patio and wraps the building, the dwelling, and down to Battle Ridge, consistent with the original design in the subdivision and plot plans that were approved and received COs.
Are you gonna complete that little dam as part of the improvements?
The wall?
The wall.
Double stop. We're willing to discuss
If
the
you,
board's
if you got
desire, but-
an approval of this board, are you gonna complete that, whatever is being designed there?
My position was prior stated that that would be a request of the board that would be specific to the variance relief required, and I believe the variance relief has been demonstrated without the need for that mitigation, and is supported by the engineer's statement that stormwater mitigation is exempt. But respectfully, I believe this is a planning discussion and a zoning discussion for variance relief for improved lot coverage, essentially.
No. We've also got a letter saying, build a berm over there.
You have a recommendation from the engineer
Correct.
prior to the filing of this application. He gave you the context and history of his prior involvement on the property. And as I stated, that prior letter was part of a deterioration between discussions in good faith between township engineer mitigating the two neighbors. It is not the same as his letter now, which clearly states that stormwater is exempt and not required.
But Mr. Chadwick, Mr. Vuce is correct. However, if with approval with the board, that the remaining of that wall There's a couple additional blocks that need to be added, needs to be finished. My client would be amenable to finishing that rock wall.
But it makes no sense to do that unless it's somehow
Mitigates.
going to have an effect.
I think that's Joe's
And
point.
respectfully, that is a landscape effort that likely is exempt in its square footage of disturbance and its increase of any impervious, which is really none, from your standards for lot grading permit. So it would be a specific request of the board that our client would be willing to consider the cost with their landscaper to make an improvement in good faith, but requiring design, submission, review, revision, approval by the township engineer is respectfully not appropriate in this condition.
No, but when you said that town engineer doesn't require now, so if you want to improve and show him that, we are doing further improvement, then he may accept. It's a good faith.
Respectfully, the issue previously was that the engineer was willing to work and negotiate that and accept the back of napkin sketch, so to speak, and work out what was going to be improved and handshake deal on the side of the house, and then it be improved. And there was a higher standard required by the objector. And you don't see a comment from the township engineer reinforcing that objection. So I think the township engineer's position speaks for himself. He respectfully backed out of the situation after he had stayed in it for too long.
So,
Do you think that wall affects drainage onto the neighboring property?
I think that wall can provide benefit in its current form to ensure that the water coming out of this little outlet, which helps drain this area from ponding water, again, I said about a half an inch at best over that area, into the grass area so it can infiltrate and try to hold it back in high intensity events from going to the neighbor. But you could see the existing conditions, which have not been modified back here, are flow westerly and wrapping on the northern side of the property. So there will always be runoff since the 90s and since the original contemplation that drains towards the neighbor, which is not a detriment imposed by our client by their actions, but rather it is the conditions that were approved by the municipality in the original contemplation and constructed by the builder and accepted as a substantial improvement, not deviating from the original intent of his plans that were approved.
But that wall does that wall do anything to direct runoff towards the road?
No, it contains it to the edge of the building here, and then would relief that water here at a low point around the side of the property where it lawfully had the right to drain originally as constructed by the developer, as well as any roof leaders that are on that side that discharge there.
Do you have that end of the house? Are those leaders discharging to the surface?
I believe so.
Let's finish this testimony.
I believe so. I don't have a photo documenting that I can confirm for you right now.
Okay, because, I can't help but notice there's an inlet in front of this house.
Yes.
So, and again, I'm not sure, it is...
Why isn't there a connection to the inlet? Because it was constructed in 1992.
Well, again, that doesn't mean it can't be constructed now.
It can, but what we're discussing is mitigation of an improvement that is lawfully existing in 1992, held to a modern 2026 standard for
Yes,
stormwater mitigation that is exempt under the code.
But again, I'm disagreeing with equating gravel, even with foot traffic, to be equivalent to a solid paver sidewalk, patio rather.
So-
That drain in the corner, was that there with the slate, or was that new? I think you said that was new with the pavers.
When the pavers went in, that was placed in that location.
Right,
It
so
could be
that-
removed, and then it could offer to put one in the opposite corner for the 250 square foot that you're discussing, which really does drain around the southerly side of the property, not the northerly side, which is, the northerly side is the objecting side, not the southerly side. So
Right,
if you'd
but what
like
I'm
me
s-
to address that, I think I'm confident to state on behalf of my client, we're willing to do that, relocate that drain over to this side to discharge along this pavers directly down to the street so it can be captured in the roadway.
Well, what I'm saying is, right now, that grade is in the low spot. That's where you put inlets. That's where you put grates, in low spots.
Yeah.
And that discharges a concentrated flow versus a sheet flow toward the north.
So we can remove it so it sheet flows.
It would seem that a lot of the water, I mean, the easiest stuff to pick up is the roof leaders. They're easy to pick up. It's just a pipe. To connect that.
Tom, the request is inappropriate, respectfully. It's exempt stormwater. We're talking about 250 feet, 250 square feet that any of the board's consideration and yours as a professional has identified as potential change in the impervious coverage since 1992, which is exempt under your code from being mitigated, but we're willing to redirect that area along the southerly side of the house where it's always gone in a more appropriate manner, but I don't think it's appropriate for the board to identify cost-generative measures to pipe down to a connection in the street, obtaining a road opening permit to do work in the right-of-way to connect to a drainage basin, to have a license agreement with the municipality to directly discharge to the back of that basin, which should be required by your municipal engineer to make that connection, all with plans designed by me as a professional, submitted to him for review with escrow, with review, thousands of additional dollars on top of the thousands of additional dollars we've come to this board and been prepared to address, all to mitigate something that is not part of the variance that is considered in the relief here tonight. This is a planning variance discussion about zoning and impervious coverage to affirm lawfully existing improvements and the establishment of those limits since 1992 that are not refuted by any supported submission to the board or any record files that the zoning officer had at their request when they did their analysis previously. Right? When we catch somebody for doing improvements on a property in a municipality that they did without permits, zoning officers, construction code officials, code enforcement officials, engineers, we get together and we look at aerials, we find and document it, and we put the violation in, and it goes to municipal court. That documentation is not here. I've given you the documentation to support my client. The objector can put it whatever they want on the record when they have their opportunity to, but until they do, I think this discussion of stormwater mitigation for something that's clearly exempt is not specifically tied to the variance relief I'm asking for. I'm really asking for the board to consider and acknowledge that these improvements have always been here. And minor improvements to landscaping and beautification and continued maintenance of a property is good home ownership. It does not constitute direct impact and detriment to a neighbor, either individualized or to the neighborhood.
Well, I don't think we can, I would question if the board would want to commit to that patio being the same as the original. Because I think you indicated you don't know if those pavers are grouted.
I would suggest that issue be addressed once we've heard all the evidence.
The new grouts that are used now, and I'm not remembering the term, they are essentially watertight. When you put that, and I have a bag of it in my shed. When you put it in the pavers, it becomes watertight. They want to stop the weeds, and you stop the weeds by stopping the water from going through the joints. So if
the
this
pavers are placed on pea gravel and stone and sand backfill between them. They are not grouted on impervious, so there is the opportunity for some slight infiltration under them. And I think leaving it in that manner is appropriate considering what you're asking for the 250 square feet.
But again, going back to the slate, do we know how you said they were just butt up against each other, correct? There was nothing.
Yes, I have that at my house. They're rectangularly cut. They're somewhat odd angled, but they are butted up against each other and cut and placed in place, and they are a consistent, contiguous improvement. That is what I understand that patio to be. That is what the existing steps to the rear upper area are in this today, and they are in their original form. So they are an example of what the greater patio looked
We're going
like.
to hear testimony from the applicant about that.
Understood.
Right.
And so, as you had stated, I agree. I think the rest of the testimony by our position and anyone else who wants to object before we discuss that matter.
So, are you finished with your direct testimony?
I am.
Does the board have any further questions of this witness?
No.
You have questions of this witness?
I do.
So here, it's 10 minutes to 10 o'clock.
Understood.
Okay. Can you give me some idea of the length of your cross-examination?
I don't know how long it's gonna take to respond.
I will be very direct, I promise.
Well, does the board want to try to get through this cross-examination of this witness?
We have few minutes.
And break it
10 o'clock we cut off.
Does the board have a 10 o'clock cutoff time?
Yes.
Okay, so why don't we see if we can, however long Mr. Castor's questions are, and we're not going to start the direct exam of my client.
No, we're definitely not getting to your client tonight.
Okay.
The only question I have for the board is, do you want to start the cross-examination from the objector's attorney?
That will be good. That will be good.
Use the time that we have, at least get it.
At least they will have understanding.
Okay, all right, so do you have any questions? Yes. And you already put your appearance on the record, so make sure you use the microphone.
I don't want it to get lost in translation, but if I'm not going to finish, would it make more sense for me to just cross-examine next time around?
I think the board would like you to try to get as much done as you can tonight,
Okay.
right?
Yes.
Have I read the board correctly?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yes, please.
Would you like to come to the other side, we flip exhibits together? I'll give you my seat, I'll stand.
So I can also kind of look
Yeah,
at
sure.
it.
You'll be seated.
Okay. You say these improvements are lawfully existing, then why would we be here seeking variance approval?
Because the township doesn't have complete records of the property dating back to the 1990s. Perhaps those records were lost or were never created by the developer.
Did you submit an OPA request, or did your team submit an OPA request?
I did not personally.
So they may be out there.
I can't opine on that.
Okay, thank you.
I did not submit an
Okay,
open request.
thank you. So based on your testimony, I see that you saw the review letters from Mr. Niehoff.
Yes.
And that you're focusing on the stormwater management. Quantity management is not required, which I refute, but I'll leave that for my own testimony. Right after that, he says,
Your
however,
professional
the runoff from the backyard should be addressed as to not negatively impact the neighbor at 34 Battle Ridge Road. Has any consideration been taken?
My testimony tonight has documented that the existing conditions are not detrimenting to the neighbor by any specific action by my client, and so I believe that statement is incorrect.
So are you trying to distinguish between a direct action by your client or what actually exists in the field?
What is in the field is what has existed and has not substantially changed. So any detriment that you believe exists or the township engineer might have identified to negatively impact the neighbor is lawfully existing and part of the original contemplation of the subdivision and build-out of Battle Ridge.
That issue is in dispute. You had mentioned that a wall was built, that a patio, I believe, was not built in kind. Were any permits pulled or approvals attempted to be obtained for that?
No, I was clear on that matter. The patio area in its existing limits from day one was replaced from blue slate and gravel area, about 250 square feet of it, to a paver patio area consistent as the whole area being impervious and counting as lot coverage. So it did not increase any of the variance relief we're here to memorialize as opposed to respectfully request, because it dates back to day one. And the retaining wall that you're talking about is a landscape wall by definition, not required for UCC permits because it does not exceed 4 feet in height. And that retaining wall was part of an effort in good faith to address what I understand was a recommendation by the township engineer to mediate a private matter between neighbors.
Where do you see that was recommended by the township engineer?
It's my understanding from conversation with my client, who will put on direct testimony in the next hearing.
And is your understanding about the impaction of the gravel also based on what your representations from your client?
As well as my personal time at the site looking at the area, confirming that
not
the
there
railroad, confirming that the railroad ties exist and have existed, and similarly to the other railroad ties around the whole area, they're not added and new, and that area is well-trafficked, and that area has always been part of their patio area incidental to their single-family dwelling.
Without the original as-built survey, how can that testimony not be considered speculation?
How can your position not be considered speculation?
I'm cross-examining you.
And I understand, and without supporting evidence, my position is my position, well stated to the board.
Exactly, without supporting evidence.
No, with the supporting evidence of everything we've put on tonight.
Try not to get too argumentative between.
Sorry.
Let's hear testimony.
Have you analyzed any of the stormwater management or any of the stormwater impacts from the impervious coverage existing?
Yes, they are consistent with the original approval and the original drainage patterns of the property that I understand to exist and are documented throughout all the extensive aerials that I reviewed in lack of any other records that were provided to me by the municipality or my client.
Understood. Are you aware of any fill or alteration of the pre-existing drainage pattern?
I am aware that my client has done minor landscaping and maintenance improvements to the property as a good property owner, but they do not extend, in my understanding, to anything that constituted the requirement of a lock rating permit in this municipality, and arguably to the extent of a zoning permit, the modification of this 250 square feet from stone compacted impervious to a hardscape area. Net increase, 0.
But you mentioned reconciling drainage issues, so what has been done to reconcile those issues?
What was my direct testimony on reconciling drainage issues?
Maybe it was in regard to the board's testimony, or to the assistant municipal engineer's comments, and the installation of the, what are you calling it, a landscaping wall or a retaining wall?
Yeah, landscaping wall. My understanding in my prior testimony, this is consistent, is that the township engineer, assistant township engineer, was mitigating a private matter dispute between neighbors, offered a solution that our client was willing to consider, started to provide that consideration, and at the request of your client, it stopped because the request for the standard of design and review was an overreach of the municipal reach under jurisdiction. Again, lock rating permit not required for de minimis exception of lot disturbance.
So, in your professional engineering opinion, contrary to the municipal engineer's findings, that the existing and proposed condition does not require stormwater mitigation?
My position is consistent with the township engineer's March 11, 2026 letter, comment number 4, that states, no additional impervious coverage was added to the property since 2021, which is the time of the municipal ordinance for stormwater regulations, and therefore stormwater management, quantity management is not required. My testimony is consistent with the assistant engineer's written pen position.
Yes, and that's what I was trying to get to with reconciliation, because you're ignoring the comment right afterwards where he says that the runoff from the backyard should be addressed as to not negatively.
I did not ignore it. I addressed it in your direct request prior, moments ago, and I addressed it in my direct testimony earlier that I disagree with it, and I put that position on in direct testimony, and then supported it in my direct response to your questioning.
Can the board require stormwater management mitigation to justify the grant of the requested variance relief?
I think we discussed that with my planning hat on, yes. But it is the board's decision. And it's my position that that has not been demonstrated as a requirement.
Are the benefits of the variance specific to the property owner?
No. They are consistent, as I stated, to the intention of the zone plan, the original 1980s and 90s subdivision and amended subdivision, and the build-out of Battle Ridge in this particular section.
So, Do you know what you mentioned that there were previous zoning standards. Did you analyze what the standards were at that time?
We addressed that in Exhibit 13 with reference to the subdivision plat and the zoning standards that were identified for the cluster density modification approval of that subdivision.
Okay, I'm sorry, I didn't see that until this evening.
The document is a recorded filed map that is part of the title chain to your client's property as well as my client's and everybody else's in the surrounding area. It is a readily available document that I obtained only 3 days ago through clerk searches because I wanted to make sure I provided the board with that history of understanding of that subdivision. If the board would like, I can provide you with every filed map that dates back to the early 80s through the late 90s because I downloaded them all so I could review them all in the last 72 hours. I'm kind of a nerd for that stuff, especially cluster density subdivisions because we don't really do them anymore.
We're approaching the 10 o'clock mark.
And I'll just finish with the final comment, but
Okay,
would
please.
like...
Comment or
I would
question?
request
I'm
that it be a
sorry, I
question.
apologize. I meant to say question.
Okay.
Final question for this evening, but I would like to reserve the right to complete my cross at the next hearing. Okay, thank you. You mentioned the municipal engineer couldn't quantify the stormwater management impacts to be able to recommend mitigation.
Not couldn't. I said he did not, and nor did the objecting neighbor.
So how did you quantify the stormwater management impacts? Was there
I
an
analyzed
analysis prepared,
everything
or-
available to me in my survey and the documented drainage patterns of the neighborhood and understanding from walking the neighborhood and understanding that everything on this easterly side of Battle Ridge drains westerly directly through the properties around the homes and between the homes towards the street. And that there is a consistency of drainage patterns that blend along property lines between neighbors and out to the street ultimately.
And you
Okay, why
believe...
don't we stop right there?
Yeah.
Okay, it's 10 o'clock.
Thank you.
So you're going to return and you're going to finish your cross-examination. And any redirect that Mr. Dash made.
Thank you.
Nora, may we have a carry date, please?
October 21st.
No notice is required.
No notice, you're going to give us all extensions?
Yes.
Okay, and no further notice is required?
Earliest available date?
That's probably the earliest available date.
That would be the earliest unless we carry it to the next meeting just to announce a date, to see if I could do a little juggling, with some applicants. I have one that just looking to carry to a different date. And if I could call someone up, they can notice within like 3 days that we open something up in September.
So you want to carry to the next date just
Carry
for the
to
purpose of
July-
getting a
yeah,
new date?
Carry to July 22nd for the purpose
So-
of announcing a date.
To avoid you having to renotice.
Oh, for the fact.
Yeah, so if we carry to July 22nd, just for purposes of getting a new date, then you won't have to renotice.
We don't have to reappear on it.
You won't have to reappear. We'll take care of, the board will take care of it at that date. You're welcome to appear if you want
There's no
to,
necessary.
but the only thing that the board would do at that time was announce a new date.
Understood.
So I have to check the availability, it's October 3rd.
Well, right now, we're July 22nd, right, Nora?
July 22nd, just to announce a
Just
new
to
date.
announce.
Otherwise, if you want to definite, it's October 21st.
But Nora may be able to get you an earlier date, is what she said.
So is it typically your second and fourth Wednesdays of the month?
It's usually
First and third,
third.
because the first, yeah, okay, so first and third, okay. Just thinking of my other obligations, but I'll find a way to appeal.
So if you have conflicts,
We will let you know.
then let Nora know before the July 22nd date,
Yeah, we'll look at our schedules for what's on the schedule already.
okay?
I'd be happy to coordinate, make sure it works for everyone.
Yeah. Good. We'll work cooperatively.
And,
I'm sure Nora will do the best she can.
and it goes without saying that you're all encouraged to continue to try to talk to each other.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you.
May we have a motion to close, please?
Motion.
Did you move,
Second.
did you move to adjourn it to July 22nd? I don't think you did that.
No.
Motion to adjourn to July 22nd. Second.
All in favor?
Now you can.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Centers,
All in favor?
everybody.
Good night. Thank you.
Thank you.
If I have them, no, I can't. You know what, why don't we give it, I'll take it, I'll give it to, the right.
I email them tomorrow, but you know, these 13 exhibits, so that you have them. Yeah, you don't wanna click on a link and forget it. Yeah, we all have to take the security photo, right? And you can't plug a USB